Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Volodymyr Solokhov. Join me now to discuss the French-Ukrainian relations is the Ambassador of France to Ukraine, Madame Isabelle Dumont. Madame Dumont, welcome to Ukraine Today.
Merci.
Madam Ambassador, if we could talk about more recent events, and we have now the Europe Football Championship taking place in your country, and unfortunately the beginning of this football championship has been barred by a number of scandals. One of them was the denial of the visa by the French consulate to a family of a young Ukrainian football player. And true, there was a big fuss around this in the media, maybe at some point exaggerated. But why did that happen? Was that just a mistake, or was there something more behind this?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you should ask the family why they didn't give a proper dossier for their visa. I think indeed there was a wish from some people in Ukraine to create problems against France. I couldn't tell you for what reasons, but what I can tell you is that I know the file, I have seen it, and I think that some people, did they create the whole thing, or did they use this to create problems between France and Ukraine? You should ask them.
You said you saw the file, so were there some of the required documents missing?
Yeah, I've seen that since the beginning. What happened, it's very clear actually. What happened is that the family gave its file like hundreds and hundreds of other people who get their visa in 2, 3, 4 days. The file was problematic. There are some criteria which are not French criteria, which are Schengen criteria, as you know. I cannot enter the details because it's private issues, but what I can tell you is that as soon as we saw the media taking this story, we looked into the file. Was there a problem? Did we make a mistake? You know, nobody's perfect, so there can always be a mistake. So we checked right away, and it appeared that we didn't make a mistake. The file was quite problematic. To tell you in general we have a 2% rate of refusal, which is quite low, which means that 98% of the people give proper dossier and get their visa and go to France without any problem. In the 2%, what happens regularly is fake documents. This is quite usual. This is unfortunately there are, because maybe of some issues in the
various
country.
Reasons.
People are able to get fake documents, so they, when we get fake documents, it makes us, we need to check things. It takes quite a lot of time, but I have to say we do the job. The team does this job. So quite usually we have unfortunately files with fake documents, and then we just cannot. It's the same as France or any EU country. We wouldn't give a visa to people who are not providing either fakes or with a lot of lacking documents. What happens is when the person gets a refusal of the visa, they can appeal. They can either just give a phone call to understand, and sometimes they're just normal people who just missed something, and then we tell them by phone, here is the document that is missing, and then they just bring it, and the next day they get their visa. That's pretty usual. Sometimes people just get their refusal because of real problems, and probably they know why they get a refusal, so they don't even call because they are well aware of the reasons themselves, so they don't try. In this case, again, not going into the details, what I can tell you is that we had serious reasons not to give the visa. They didn't call us, they didn't appeal, so we called them. After 1 day or 2 of the buzz, we called them, we tried to reach them. Finally, we were able to reach. We told them very precisely what was the problems in their file, all the problems that needed to be checked. It took, I think, 4 days for them to finally give what was necessary. And if we didn't have those documents, proper documents, like right documents, we wouldn't have been able to give the visa, and we wouldn't have given the visa. So, you know, I've seen in some media, unfortunately, I guess some Ukrainian media still need to sort of enhance, but I've seen even, you know, people who said that we provided excuses, that finally at the end the French embassy they decided to correct its mistake, things like that. The reality is that after 5 days of all this buzz, the family at the end came with the documents, we checked, and then we were able to, the documents that time were okay, so we were able to deliver the visa.
But another scandal, this one unfortunate, which surrounded the beginning of the football championship, were these terrible clashes between Russian and English fans during their respective teams' games in Marseille. And the question which a lot of Ukrainians started asking is why those Russian hooligans were able to so easily get into France. Now some of them are being deported back to Russia, whereas the family of Ukrainian football fan had such big problems with the visa. And I'm not asking, I'm not asking you how did these guys obtain visa, because obviously you do not know, but is it possible that there is some different attitudes of the French government or the representatives of the Foreign Office of French government towards Ukrainian and Russian applicants?
First, you said another scandal. I really want to go back to the first issue. I cannot accept to consider that the Volodya issue is a scandal. I mean, it is. It can be considered as a scandal that the way it was treated by the media was a scandal.
The media scandal.
But it is, I really need to put it straight, it is not a scandal. Again, it is a visa issue that was treated as it was, but then some people, maybe manipulated by some political forces, wanted to do something against France, probably to hurt Franco-Ukrainian relations. But again, on the visa issue, it was just a bad file that was corrected after like 1 week. If they had corrected after 2 days, they would have got their visa after 2 days. So I really need to put it straight. On the supporters issue, there is no difference. You know, my hope as a French ambassador to Ukraine is that we are not going to have problems with Ukrainian supporters or French supporters or, you know, others. France also has its supporters, and Ukraine also, that can create problems, as you know. There was quite a bad issue here when French supporters were beaten up by Ukrainians 2 years ago. So it can. My only hope. We've been working quite well with. I want to thank the Ukrainian Football Federation. We've been working with them hand in hand, and my colleagues in Moscow that have been doing the same. But you know, it's just. I think one shouldn't go into conspiracy theory. One shouldn't go into a conspiracy theory. It's just thousands and thousands and thousands of people to deal with. We are working, all embassies are working with football federations of partner countries, and I'm pretty sure that the Russian Football Federation has been working as well as our embassy, as the Ukrainian Football Federation. Again, my hope is that there is not going to be any problems with Ukrainian supporters, but until today it has been the case, but you know, you never know. And I think it's unfortunately a small group of people that are creating such problems and such a bad reputation for their country.
So basically you don't see this as an issue of different attitudes of the French government to Ukrainians and Russians?
It's not that I don't see it, it's that there is no different attitude. There is no, you know, we are treating the visa issues as here as in Russia or any country the same way, and checking security as well as we can. But then we have, again, I mean, I hope that from Ukraine we are not going to have one single guy who is going to create problems and give a bad image of its.
Well, we'll see indeed, Madam Ambassador. Thank you for finding the time to talk to us. Really appreciate it. We were discussing the French-Ukrainian relations with the Ambassador of France to Ukraine, Madame Isabelle Dumont. I'm Vladimir Solhu. Thank you for watching Ukraine Today.